Hello, and welcome to the podcast where I will be diving into the topic of science fiction. My name is Arnav Thapa, and today we will cover the topics of the history of science fiction, the inspiration, why it matters, the world, and much more. So stay tuned to the end of this podcast to learn more about science fiction, and maybe even have a different stance on the idea of it. First off, let's start with the idea and what is science fiction. Science fiction is the idea of predicting or inspiring the unknown, which is based scientifically. Unknown means what mankind has not come across yet, or maybe we won't even come across it. It is the thought of uncertainty in life and the future that keeps our mind running through with questions, but with not enough answers. Some ideas to jot down in your mind when thinking about science fiction are events that will change the world, such as life outside of Earth, aliens, time travel, and many other ideas that are technologically possible but sound impossible. Based on the history stated in the video, when science fiction becomes fact, a lot of predictions in history become a fact, such as Jules Verne's prediction about US spaceship named Columbia sending 3 men to space, and about 100 years later, the United States send 3 men to space on a spaceship named Columbia. Pretty crazy, right? Another example of when fiction becomes fact in a more broader sense is the idea of internet, automatic cars, and more recently robots. But what this is an example of how predictions are more of an inspiration to the future than just calling it a miracle. This now brings us to the idea of inspiration when it comes to science fiction. In the video Science Fiction Inspires the Future of Sciences by National Geographic, they explain the fictional story of Frankenstein and his ability to bring people back to life with the use of electricity. This story was meant for the joy of viewers at home, but for one man it was an inspiration. Earl Bakken was inspired by the story of Frankenstein and decided to implement the use of electricity and medicine, and he invented the first wearable battery-powered cardiac pacemaker. In today's world, the pacemaker has a survival rate of up to 86% and increases a person's lifespan for at least 5 to 7 years when used. What once was a science fiction movie and novel turned into an inspiration and revolutionized the medical treatment of cardiac patients. But let's take a few steps back from all the inspired technology and discuss why science fiction matters. In the TED Talk by Brady Cruz, he persuades the listener that science fiction doesn't matter, and the purpose of it is to provide an unbiased view of the future. Science fiction also allows people to ask questions that need attention and careful consideration. These questions are doors that lead to more doors, which then lets mankind move forward and ultimately turn science fiction into science fact. Questions and predictions like Jules Verne's idea of sending men into space is one of the main reasons why we have space travel right now. In a different TED Talk hosted by Etienne Auge, he not only talks about what if and what is science fiction, he also explains why science fiction is important. Science fiction is important because it invents, it prevents, and it is profitable. Stated in the TED Talk, science fiction is profitable and has been since Frankenstein. But in more recent times, Hollywood is one of the main reasons why the category of science fiction is very successful and profitable. A reason why it is profitable is because 7 out of the 15 most profitable movies in Hollywood are science fiction. Another reason why science fiction is profitable is the use of robots. The idea of robots was to replace humans for the greater good, whether it was to eliminate physical labor or to ease the way of life for some people. The idea of robots and their name came from Karel Capek, and Isaac Asimov, and their intention of this so-called robot was to help humans and maybe one day even save humans. In today's world, robots are everywhere, like Siri or Google Assistant on our smartphones or anything that is technology. Another idea to keep in mind when talking about science fiction is the question of what if. This now brings us to a full circle of how these what if questions are the inspiration to invent and now to even prevent. As we now come to the end of our discussion, we can now take all the videos and books we have on about science fiction and come to a thorough yet insightful conclusion. Science fiction is a door leading to possibilities of our future and the unknown. From the story of Frankenstein to space travel, science fiction encourages us to think beyond and dream big, and not to take the term impossible seriously. Science fiction is quite simply our future. We are present today, and we are the ones that will be asking the questions like Jules Verne and inspiring the future. Thank you for tuning in to my podcast. I am Arnav Thapa, and I will see you next time. Thank you.